Here we go. It is time for another Sprint Zone video, and let's just get after it. Not much intro today. We're going to hit it hard. Interesting camera focus I chose. A little bit like digitally zoomed. I thought it looked cool at the time, but nah, it's not really. Anyway, we make the corner and everybody is properly around as the rules of engagement state before things may begin. There's Jamie smiling, wearing her Foco Fondo kit. I should remind everybody that was the winner of the female 40 to whatever 60 miler, so looking strong there she is. There's Mr. Miller, hasn't been out in a while. Shiny Oakley's looking strong there. And up front, we have Brian, and he's kind of leading it out here, looking around to see where people are. Not a lot of wattage being thrown out just yet. My 30 seconds at 168, 170, so not really much. There's a good look at Elisa there, very happy after her summer campaign of racing gravel and road. And it looks like Brian's still out front, not waiting around here. And we've got the pack in tow. Not anybody wanting to bring this in quickly because he's not a GC guy, but I like this. I like that he is out front, not just waiting for people to make something happen. Folks going to the front now. The usual crew looks like John and Daniel up there. Maybe that's Doug, maybe John, as we give way. Brian, thank you for your service. Looking rearward, and now things are starting to get strung out. I'm looking at my 30-second power, 200 watts sitting in. So, yeah, we're not hanging about. Speed doesn't look that high at 18, but it is a little bit of a grade, like 1% as the little graphic shows. Threw that in there just for fun. Not certain how accurate it is, but it is a number. Steve is smiling there, very happy. It's almost like he knows that the camera will be pointed at him. At least at good position. Brian hanging in there. It looks like, is that Greg standing up as the pace starts to hot up just a little bit, as we can see my 30-second power, 220 something, and now we crest the summit of that hill. Time to relax a little bit, even though the power is still being put down. Instantaneous, not that much as we are relaxing. So who wants to take over? It doesn't look like many people do want to take over here. It is still a nice 2x2. And at this point, I'm like, okay, this is not the sprint zone with a 30-second power of 150, 160 watts. So it is now time to go. Jonathan looking strong in the Rio kit. And a gap starts to open up. Not certain what is up with that, but I guess I did come by a little quickly. No one came with. Now my power's starting to creep up a little bit, instantaneous in there, 220, 240 for the 30-second. And we're having a conversation up there. Dan and I were like, hey, you know, people aren't really wanting to work fast, slow, whatever. But this is the fast zone. This is where people should be coming up and doing something. Scott on the outside. Sounds like a horse race. And Scott coming up on the outside. 2 furlongs. Anyhow, still out there. 30-second, 240. So this is like above my FTP at this point. And I don't have a heart rate monitor because I didn't bring the right strap. But now it is go time. Byron the big dog, a.k.a. Superman. And this was a good pace when he came by. I'm surprised there weren't more people immediately on the wheel there. And I am forced to accelerate to try to make that one. And you see that over there, over 440 watts just to be in contact. And then we'd see the two Johns back there allowing me to slot in here. It might have been a little bit better to get a little more draft, but this is okay. And now the things are definitely afoot. 28 miles an hour, and the big man is up front. The cape is flying. He's no longer on the gravel bike, free to fly these days and flog those people. And now people sense that there's danger going on. Steve up the right-hand side, pushing into the wind. And I like that. It's better to be in the wind and be in contention than to be gapped off by folks like myself that might not be able to contend. Got Greg in the First City kit, hanging in there strong but struggling. I can see a little bit of struggle in his pace as the bike weaves around, perhaps trying to find the best draft. I'm hanging in here. At this point, I was wishing I would have had a little more recovery. 30 seconds at 230 or whatever. Yeah, it's okay now, but I really want to get some recovery here. And there's a good shot of the man himself, Mr. Nelson, the toy master, as from previous week, just toying with the rest of the field. Although, as he stated in the comments, no gifts, and that was actually earned by Scott. And congratulations to Scott for that one, because to best Byron and to best Ben, you've done something. So I'm sliding back a little bit and let Mr. Miller in front of me. He's a good draft, steady wheel for the most part, and it looks like there's a little bit of coasting up there, as I don't think anybody was really prepared to take over from Superman. And I was appreciating this because I was looking for a little bit of recovery here. And the speed is high, still 25 up this slight grade. Doesn't look like much, but you feel it in the legs after a little bit of effort. And this is one of these places where people stand up. This is one of the selection points, and you need to be in contention at this point, as I find myself fading away here. A little too much coasting over there, but I'm able to kind of claw myself back. See John there just for a second on my side, and here, finally, almost in contention. Well, at least it looks like I'm in contention. A little zoom on the camera shows maybe otherwise. There's two people trying to struggle a little bit. It looks like the struggle bus has Jim and Greg in it, but more probably Greg, but I know Jim must have been close to the front, taking a lot of the wind here. And the group bunches out. And looking rear, it looks like at least a very nice job, as she is in the wind in contention. Brian is able to hang on, and Jamie, the ever-savvy, tenacious Jamie, hanging out there, looking strong. And it looks like we saw a selection point. It looks like maybe Brian was giving up the ghost. A little bit of an echelon forming him, as Jim is just dangling, and maybe the last wheel there, and I'm on his. I'm thinking if everybody stretches out, I'm going to be at the yellow line and guttered. Folks struggling at the front. And it looks like the big men were taking over once again. Big Ben and Byron, making people earn their place in the selection. Looks like Daniel coming back. The Aero Sox, a trademark in the wind and hanging out and doing a nice job being there. At this point, a little bit of respite. You can see my heart rate. Well, at least my watts has dropped, which is good, because I was not really looking forward to holding that pace for a long time. Not certain what's going on here. It looks like Scott coming off the front after doing a little bit of work. It could have been a lot of people were expecting Scott to do a little more work, and people were reticent to come around. Mr. Lawyer at the front, looking good there. But the anxious men, the men of note, don't want to be just hanging about. And we can see Mr. Nelson out there on the outside, just chomping at the bit, looking for when he's going to make his move. Looking rearward, I'm not certain what he's fearing from the rear. The strong men are all up front, and further selection has been made. And I'm barely hanging on at this point, thinking to myself, oh, please, just a little more recovery. Just a little more recovery. But this is a little bit of a grade, and there are accelerations everywhere. And you can see 300 watts for a second there, as people are trying to shed those who are not worthy. And there, a surprise here, Scott giving up the ghost after his week in sea level. And I was pretty spent too. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I don't feel a need to go up there with these people and fight out for this one. I'm feeling tired, and there's no shame in dropping off. The only shame is that there's no camera up front to see what's going on. But I'm going to make a guess here. I'm going to say probably Byron, Ben, and then the other Ben. Yeah, in that order. Notice I didn't get the last names of the Bens there. I'll let you guys figure it out. Anyway, Scott comes up. He's gassed. I'm happy to be back here. Nice close shot of him. More of the zoom, playing with the camera. Yep, good shot. You know, not even mediocre watts. Just kind of chilling here after a long effort that I was happy that it was over. And, had I sat in early on, you'd have that headroom. But for me, it's like once I get over my lactate threshold, it's very difficult to recover because you don't have any extra to make those jumps. and there's always little accelerations in there. So I didn't make the comment. There was like a water bottle that was like dropped in there, like somewhere. Um, stuff happens. Not that egregious. It might have been some like little divot that didn't get pointed out right away. But at those speeds, everyone did well to avoid that. I guess I could probably go back in the footage and see where that was. I think that's probably when I pointed it back at Elisa, and who was back there? I think John. Anyway, last little push by Scott to at least have some honor, at least beat me over the top. At this point, I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. And as such, it's game over. So let's go and fast forward a little bit and look to see maybe who came back, turned around first. Let's see who that is. Missed that one. Maybe there they are. Yeah, whatever. So where's that part that water bottle dropped? I'm like really curious here to see like right about, is it here? Might have been a little bit after this. Yeah, maybe when those folks dropped off. Anyway, I'm just rambling here. It was a good ride. Everybody was happy. I was happy. No one went down. Although there was some kerfuffle. People telling folks to point stuff out. And let me go up to where the kerfuffle discussion was. Yeah, here. I missed like a lot of this portion here. I'm like, what's going on? I'm not certain why we're turned around in the middle of the road. I mean, there's hubris here. Like, I get we're all stopping here, but to have your bike turn around the other way, that's a little questionable. But, I guess if you just pull over and haven't turned around yet, that's okay. But we still shouldn't be in the road. I did check. There's nothing back there at this point. But, let's play nice, everybody. People make mistakes. It's not like people don't know to point out stuff, right? You just mention it and just go on. Anyway, enough about that. And until next time, hopefully I'll have a cameraman at the top. Peace out.